just know something bad is going to happen. Huh?
Hello?
Hello.
What's going on, guys?
Hi, everyone.
Welcome in.
Hello.
Hi. What's going on? How are ya?
I'm so excited.
We're here to talk spoopy season. You guys ready?
Spoopy season.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah.
So today is all about paranormal activity. The question of the day is, do you believe in ghosts?
I believe in ghosts.
I don't think there's so much a belief about it. It is what it is.
Yeah, I believe in ghosts.
It would be
Did you know-
a short stream if we were just like, nah, end of stream.
And done.
Wow.
Title's had encounters.
Yes, Lexi believes in
Encounters.
ghosts. So does Jane. Did you know that in Buddhism, they believe that there's, I think it's 49 days from when you die to when your soul like passes on to the next thing. So I'm like, ooh, you got 49 days where you're like, according to them, in limbo.
Purgatory?
Wow.
So
That's a
is
long
that
time.
is that what hauntings are? 49 days caught in limbo?
I don't know.
And also, why 49?
I also
Yeah.
don't know that. I don't know. I just know it's 49 days where you're in limbo.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
Very specific number.
I know. I should look into that and figure out why it's
Yeah.
49 days.
I know why it's 49 days.
You do?
Evil. I'm just kidding.
Like an evil number.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had an encounter with a ghost though.
Do tell.
So in Arizona, there's a town called Bisbee, which is like a really old mining town. And it's like a super weird little small town where they have one of those like late night ghost tours where you go around and they like talk to you about all the buildings
Ooh.
and how they're all haunted. And my dad at the time, I was in high school. I was like a freshman in high school, so technology was like not super great. He had one of those little Verizon chocolate phones, you know? We're going around, he's just like taking pictures of everything like as we go around and like listen to the ghost stories. And we went to one of these houses and we're like on the street looking up at like a second story window. And they're like, for as long as everybody has ever lived here, there is a little boy that is a ghost that like runs around this little townhouse. And you can like hear him laughing and like hear him playing. And like everyone who's ever lived there has known of this ghost boy that lives there. So we're just like looking at a window and obviously it's like dark and we don't see anything. And we're like, okay, but my dad snaps a picture of it, right? No flash, like on his little tiny phone. After the ghost tour finishes, my friend and I went to bed and my parents were like looking at the photos on their computer. And all of a sudden I hear my mom like shriek, like scream so loud. And so my friend and I like got out of bed because we were like, what's going on? This is terrifying. And my dad had pulled up the photo of the window and zoomed in. And in the picture was a little boy, like standing in front of the curtain, dressed in like sort of like almost like pilgrim clothes, like not clothes that you would wear in this day and age, like clear as day. We could like see his face and it was very clearly like a 5-year-old boy. And there were 4 of us and we all looked at the window and we're like, we did not see this when we were looking at it in person, but you could clear as day see a little boy standing there.
That's
was terrifying.
insane.
It was so scary.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna have to go with fuck that.
Yeah, same.
I don't think I've ever had like an actual paranormal experience IRL. Like we visited Jerome, Arizona, which is very well known as
Kind of
like
the
a haunted
same.
town.
Yeah.
Right. And I've done like haunted houses before. I used to make shit up when I was a kid. I would make up the most horrific stories of people that had like died in my house just for fun. Just for literally no reason at all. Nobody asked. Hashtag nobody asked. And I'm just like, yeah, she hung herself in our closet. It was horrific. Like just made shit up for no reason. That's about as close as I've gotten.
That's terrifying.
I've had some experiences, and so has my mom. My mom's had quite a few experiences. When my mom and my dad were in college, they were like around a friend's house, and they both saw like a figure walk down the stairs, and no one else saw it but them. And also my mom, our old house that we lived on was on the gardens of an old hospital that tuberculosis like patients went to.
That just
And
gave me goosebumps. Like just thinking about that is so scary.
and my mum had a migraine, like a really bad one, because we both suffer with migraines, and she was on the sofa in our living room. And basically in our old house, like as soon as you walk through like our front door, you've got like a little bit in, and then you go through that door, and then you've got it's all open, so the living room's open, the like up the stairs is. And she was laying on the couch in the living room, and she saw a nurse walk down the stairs in old in like the old wear, and it really
I
like
just
my
got
mum, even my
goosebumps
mum
again.
freaked out. Yeah, obviously, like I assume she was
Ooh.
like checking on her. We've seen orbs a lot in the house.
Oh yeah.
I see
Mhm.
shadows a lot, like, and I feel when like there's a weird presence or like I'm being watched. Normally, I just say, "Can you please leave me alone?" And then like I'm just like, "Hi, can you just leave me alone, please? I just want to be alone." And normally the presence goes. But yeah, sometimes I can see like shadows in the corner of my eye, something moves, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna ignore this. My mum has seen her grandmother's face in the glass watching her. My granny
So
has had it
scary.
where she's cutting bread with a bread knife, and she can clear as day hear her granddad's voice saying "Be careful" and her childhood nickname. She like he was in like as if he's in the other room. I have loads. She also had it where when she first moved into the house that we're in now, we have a security system. So like we don't have it on at the moment because of the cats. They go off every 5 seconds. When she first moved in, it would constantly be set off, like from downstairs, and no one would know like why. And like one day she just went downstairs and she shouted, like because she thought it was her dad. She just shouted at him that she was fine. They were all settled in and that he didn't need to come check on them anymore. And if he woke her up anymore in the middle of the night, she wouldn't be happy. And it stopped. It never happened again.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
That is crazy.
Couple of experiences.
Ooh.
I for sure get the shadow people thing. Like I
Yeah.
like see things and I'm like just gonna ignore that. Just gonna that's fine. Everything is fine.
Yeah,
Insane.
it's funny though because like both my mom, my dad have had experiences. I myself have had experiences. We had a family friend who apparently if you look into a mirror and you can find out who your guardian angel is, and like they might reveal yourselves to them to you, but they tried to do it and then they freaked out, and they've never been able to do it again because it scared their guardian angel off.
Wow.
That's terrifying.
It's why I don't
Yeah.
fuck about with anything to do with the ghosts or spirits.
No.
Like, I'm very,
Yeah, no, I don't fuck with that.
I
I'm very
respect
much
them.
like, I'm sorry if I've offended anybody. I'm just here to be peacefully in the house.
I don't know what I would do if I ever actually had an encounter. One of you pooped my pants, that's for sure. 'Cause yikes. Like it's like you can't control it. What are you gonna do? Throw something at it? It's nice that you can just like ask kindly though, like please leave me alone, and maybe they go away.
I don't know if it's more for my own sanity that I say that, and I'm like, okay, maybe they're like, will go away because that's the respectful thing to do. But like, I don't actually know. But in my
Is
mind,
it respectful? Is it? Because I kind of wonder, like, we're in the world of the living, and it's they can
That
maybe
we-
do
that
something
we
about
think.
that.
How do we
True.
know we're not in the world of the dead?
It's true. That's completely
we're-
true.
we're in their territory.
Purgatory.
I mean, it's a little off topic, but we are living in a fucking simulation. Birds are not real. 100% living in a fucking simulation. There's no way that this is real life. I refuse to believe it.
I mean, what is real?
That's a good question.
Even everything that we see is an illusion because our brains are completely, like, our eyes don't function right, and our brains have to, like, compute all the information together. So, like, nothing that we see
I
real,
feel like
technically.
I feel like we're just like brains. Like that is what a human is just like the brain. Like we are aliens and we've just been like, see, okay, so there's this guy that says he's like, I don't know, many, many years into the future and that we are actually just living in like a video game simulation, which makes a lot of sense. I'm here for it.
We have no
Yeah,
idea.
like color's not something that's actually there and it's just for our eyes because there's all kinds of different animals that have way more color receptors than we do that can see colors that we could never even fathom. So
light,
like,
yeah.
is color even real? Just a perception of the
Did you
human
guys-
brain.
I watched a documentary one time about how there was the big tsunami in Japan. And Japan is a place that believes in like spirits and ghosts and like all kinds of things. They have tons of like rich history on like spiritual beings in their culture.
Mhm.
And I watched this documentary where after the tsunami, people were like finding people on the street or finding people who would like try to get a ride from them and they would be like all wet and they were like, I'm trying to go home, like I need to go home. And it was like all these people were having these ghost encounters with people that had died in the tsunami, just like being like lost souls, being like, I'm trying to get home and I don't know. Like, and a one woman even like gave a ride to somebody, and when she got there, the person was no longer in her car.
All this stuff creeps me out.
Oh.
The way that I would lose my fucking shit.
And I do feel like some places like Dana, where you live, there's probably like, because where you live is older, you probably have like more likelihood of having like paranormal experiences. Whereas like where me and Steph live, and probably Blaze too, like everything is new. There's no history
Yeah.
there. So I imagine there's some places in the world that like there are your higher chances of having paranormal experiences.
Oh, there definitely are.
In the area around where I live, there was a lot of like bombings from the war as well. So I always find that really interesting because like even in this house, there's like cracks in the ceiling and stuff because there was a bomb that went down in the road, just like down the road from me, that a bomb was dropped. And there's like so many buildings that have been demolished and then rebuilt. Like my old house was rebuilt on like the hospital grounds, and like that hospital's not there anymore. So even
creepy.
like that hospital has probably got a block of flats on it or something now. So yeah, there's so many buildings as a result that are now different, and you wouldn't know where you live, you wouldn't know what was there before.
There's a
It's
streamer on Twitch who is doing like, he's basically doing a tour of several different like paranormal locations and just trying to experience it for himself, and he's streaming it. I've
Is that
watched
the guy
at
that streams
least...
in the dark by himself, like in the middle of the
No.
woods?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, no. He's gone to a few different locations. His name is D-Tune. He's freaking great. But one of the places that he went to was like an old prison. And like I watched the entire stream of it, and there were orbs, there were voices, there were so many things, like lights, everything. Yeah.
That is a hard
Can
fucking no
I-
from me.
Can I read Lexi's story?
Yeah, yes, please. Do we want to kick off a thing of bingo before we jump in?
Oh, sure.
All right, bet. So we
Take
do
us
have
away.
trivia running right now, but that's
Yeah,
but
I
that's
wrote it
okay. Whoops, this is the wrong one. Bear with me. This is not a professional production, okay? We're doing our fucking best over here. So if you guys want to go ahead and download a bingo card, we do have trivia also running down there over Braylon's face. I'm so sorry. I did not intend for that to happen. I'll move it. Kicking this off, I have my bingo card. Do you have your bingo card?
I forgot.
That's okay. Spider web. Ooh. All right. Hiding that out. Scary stories. Shall we?
Yeah. So Gibbs says, about a decade ago, I went urban exploring with 2 friends to an abandoned mental hospital. First off, that's just terrifying in and of itself. That's like some phasmophobia stuff. I went there 3 times, and the paranormal incidents happened the first and the third. First time I was there, I somehow ended up on the 2nd floor, and in the darkness, I saw an outline of a little girl in a room. Talked to her for about 10 minutes. Seriously? Second time I was there, I wanted to go back up there to find the little girl, but there was absolutely no way I could have gotten up to the 2nd floor. The stairs had been taken away a few years earlier. That gave me goosebumps.
What?
That's so scary.
It's so scary.
And now Gibbs says the place has been bulldozed and it is now an old people's home.
Wow.
So even more ghosts.
That's terrifying. Yeah, yeah. Do you think that people become ghosts only when they, like have something left to say or do, or like die in a traumatic way? Or do you think that anyone can become a ghost?
It would explain the volatility of ghost temperament if it was something that was against, your will. I want to believe in some type of purgatory, like some kind of judgment period, but I don't know. That's a hard one.
I feel if you have unfinished business, if you died in a violent way, any of those kind of reasons, I would say probably is why you're here on the earth still, or like in this realm.
Yeah, that could make sense.
Yeah.
Maybe too if you die like so suddenly that you might not know that you died. If you didn't have a chance to like say to yourself as you're dying, like, oh no, I'm dying, like maybe some part of you gets stuck.
That have gone that maybe even just frozen, just going through their like everyday routine and not even realizing like that people aren't responding to them and stuff. But also it's interesting because I feel like where you die is probably where you like are. But then I wonder like, is it also related to your trauma, like where you were murdered is where, like, rather than where you end up being buried?
I feel like it follows your bones. I think if your bones are moved, that your haunting also moves, but it also could explain why it's so hard to to stop haunting shit, because if your bones get moved, how can you ever, like, because then it doesn't boil down to, like, proper burial, improper burial.
What about like objects though? Because there's a lot of spirits that get stuck to objects. Like think about like that thing that happened with Post Malone. There is this box that is like supposedly the most haunted box in the entire world, and it might be like David Dobrik or somebody. Don't quote me on that. Somebody has it, and they brought over Post Malone, and like you're not even supposed to be in the room with this thing. That's how haunted it is, and the guy that he was with put his hand on Post Malone and then touched the box. You can look up like videos about this. Post Malone talks about it. And he said ever since then, like his plane crashes, his car crashes, like the craziest stuff happens to him. And he's like, it is because that box. That box had a spirit in it. And it did something to me.
So I love what Tidal says. Our world and the spirit world are overlaid, in his opinion. We just don't see the spectrum to always notice them. So it's like multi-dimension, right? What if the spirit world is just another dimension that we have a hard time like comprehending? Like you don't really die, there's no reincarnation. You just move on to the next level of life, which is just the next dimension.
I could see that.
I have 2 theories. One, the way that like some spirits attach themselves to objects, I always feel like they're maybe they've been cremated, so they have no other thing to tether themselves. And 2, you notice how children and animals tend to see ghosts and things. Like I always notice my cats look behind me, and they always used to look behind me on the stairs at my old house where that nurse was.
Spirit was? Yeah.
And I wonder if, and my mum was tired when she saw that full apparition come down. So I wonder if when we're younger, and like animals as well, we see it, and then as we get older, our brains, like as we become adults and we become older, we ignore things better.
I think that's totally true. When I was a child, like 3 years old, My mom said that she came into my room and I was like in my crib standing up talking to somebody. Like, she heard me full on having a conversation with somebody, and she said that I described it as a glowing man. We were really religious at the time, so she was like, "You saw Jesus." Clearly was a ghost. I think that I was having a chit chat with the spirit that came down. Could have been a relative or somebody that, like, because I was laughing and we were like talking. And I have no memory of this, obviously. I was like 3 years old. But I'm like, that totally had to be a ghost.
I mean, imaginary friends. I can't imagine that imaginary friends are just
Think
all
about
in
that,
kids'
too.
heads.
Yes.
How many people have imaginary friends? Like, that's totally reasonable. No,
I had several, but they weren't like things that I saw. Like they were completely imaginary.
Yeah,
friends.
I very much knew that I was making it up in my head. I very much knew that. But like, it was very easy for me as a child to imagine another similar child sitting across from me playing fucking Pokemon or whatever it was, Barbies, you know? And I think some kids maybe lean into it, but there's kids' imaginations, it's crazy, right?
That's when we're like our most pure. We haven't, like, the world hasn't jaded us yet, you know, as a child. And there's often children who remember details about their past lives. Like,
That's exactly
so
what I
far,
was gonna say.
there's like documentaries about it where they like show kids photos and they're like, yeah, that was my grandma and that was my aunt. Oh, and that's my mom. And we used to hang out at this park. And then they like investigate and it's like they're real people.
They like take him back to the house or something. It's really interesting, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, or like they know how they died and things like that," and it's like so like interesting. Like, it's like, is that more of like you see the ghost, or is that remembering your past life, or like, you know? It's
Some of them
really
have
interesting.
the little kids who are like, I was a pilot in World War II, and this is the plane that I fought, and like this was my wife, and the parents are just like, what do you
If I had a
do?
child and that happened, I'd be like, no, you don't. Let's not even. No.
Just
Or
stay
sometimes-
away from that subject.
Children will talk about before they were born. They'll be like, oh, I
Yeah.
remember being in your stomach, and like,
yeah.
some people can remember being born.
Yeah, I 100% feel like past lives and past memories are a thing. I feel like there's too much that goes into a human life for it only to have one existence on planet for entirety. I feel like we are 100% rinsed and recycled, which just reinforces like my living in a simulation thing. There's only so much code. You're bound to run into similarities. Things are gonna get reused.
I feel the same.
What do you guys think about one more bingo round?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Bingo.
There is a theory that time is all over the place. Past, present, future is happening right now, overlapping each other,
Yeah.
which could also explain why everything is all wonky.
Pumpkin.
While we do this, I'll read Title's story. They said, I lived in a house that had spirits. My TV would turn on and off. My door to my room would open and close. The scariest part is when I was 15, I woke up floating in the center of my room. I tried to brush it off as rolling out of bed, but I wasn't aligned with my bed anymore. My bed was in the corner! The house caught fire when I was 17, and there were faces in the smoke after. Oh my gosh, do you have any other
No.
stories from that? Because that's wild.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Show me what you got. What the fuck, man?
The hell.
I don't even know what I would do.
I would lose my mind.
That's so crazy. The conscious brain is rational, and in turn we lose a part of ourselves to stay rational in the eyes of society. I like that. That's very true. Gibbs says, I used to be a nurse working in the Waverly Hills Sanatorium, like in a past life. That's pretty cool.
That was the scariest American Horror Story season. I have a hard time watching things with like asylums. Like that actually scares me. Like what
Maybe
scares
because
you
you were
guys like
there.
that? I didn't mean to be called out like this. on like podcasts, but yeah, no, probably. Like that honestly, that's terrifying to me though, like as an adult, that other adults can just take you and keep you confined because of their general consensus and perception that you've lost your fucking marbles. Fuck that. That is terrifying. That is real life fucking nightmare stuff. Nightmare fuel.
That's so crazy. Let's see. Kira said, the only thing that happened to me when I was maybe 8 or 10 years old when we lived in a different house. I woke up in the middle of the night and thought I heard a train drive by. We actually lived really close to a train station, but you could never hear it, and it was really loud too. Then I felt like someone was pushing on my face and I tried to escape it. After that, I tried to go back to sleep and felt like someone was pulling me. That's terrifying, Kira.
That is so terrifying.
That is literally so scary.
I'm so glad I've never had something like that happen to me.
Or like
Oh my
sleep
gosh.
paralysis.
I am
Scariest
such
thing.
a weenie. I would lose my mind.
Tidal
Weenie Hut
floating
Jr.
out of the room is like actually, I don't know what I would do with myself if that happened.
That is pure nightmare fuel.
That's so scary.
What genuinely scares you guys? Like you cold sweat fear.
The dark.
Yeah.
I do not
Yeah.
like the dark. I feel like there is something so sinister about the dark. Like, even if you're in a safe place and there's like a dark corner, I'm like, in my house last night, I came home by myself and I had to come in this gaming room and my closet door was open and it was like all dark in there and I was like, just run in and get to what you need and then run out. Like, I'm like, don't go near the closet. There's something scary in there. And
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
that's how I've been.
I've done that. I've hyped myself up with the dark. I mean, it's not
Run
so much the
downstairs.
dark that scares me. It's what's hiding in the dark that
Yeah.
scares me.
Yeah.
It could be anything. There's something calming, creature comfort about the dark, right? But then it's like when you're walking around alone and you hear a weird sound, you're like, what is creeping in the dark?
Yeah. I like the sunshine and the light. I don't need, if I lived somewhere where it was daytime all the time, I'd be great.
Would you guys ever stay in a haunted like hotel overnight for money?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Nope.
My
They
house
would
is hot
have to pay me a lot.
What if there was no history of death?
any amount to fucking do that. Nah, I'd be like, no thanks, mate. Because it's like, was he say Post Malone or something? Like, he touched the. Nah, because what happens if it attaches itself to me and I've got an entity following me around? So every house I live in, forever, I'm not fucking bringing that shit into my house. Thank you.
That's when you get what's it called? They cleanse the room.
Oh, an
Oh, with sage?
Yeah. They
With
just
sage.
Yeah,
cleanse
but
it.
like, what if it doesn't want to?
I was gonna say, I recently watched The
You just
Conjuring
get
again,
someone's gun.
and sometimes it doesn't work.
Cleansing?
It can't exorcise the spirit.
I mean,
Like, you can cleanse your space, but if you have, like, an actual demon, and, like, you need somebody to come do an exorcism, like, good luck. That might not work.
That's why I'm
There's-
super respectful when I'm like talking and like stuff. Like, no, thank you. I don't want to upset anybody or like enter a space where if it's haunted and it's like obviously haunted, that spirit, that entity obviously doesn't want anybody in there. So if you're fucking about in its space, it's gonna be angry with you. I'm not about that life.
That's
Sorry.
something the dude that I was talking about earlier that has a Twitch channel and he goes to visit places. The first thing he does whenever he's visiting these places is he states his intentions. He's like, hello, I'm just here. We're just here to observe you. We're not here to mess with you or anything like that. Please don't touch me. And like, there's a bunch of rules for the ghost and for him as well. And it's kind of cool.
I don't
That's
see
pretty
like that always kind of like threw me for a loop, right? Because how do you impress rules, human living world rules on a supernatural creature? Like once you let that moth in, you're fucking
they
done
ask-
for.
They just ask really nicely. That's all they do. They just show respect to the ghost.
The
mean,
guideline, really, if we're honest. That's the guidelines and boundaries he's setting for like to make the ghost aware of.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what he says.
Totally.
That's exactly how he states it as well.
Yeah.
And if the ghosts, like, if they walk in, and I'm sure, like, if a huge paranormal experience happened, like, right when they walked in, like, stuff went flying and something broke on the ground, like, they probably would leave. They probably would be like, okay, this is not... Clearly you don't want us here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
These two people who used to be from BuzzFeed, but I don't think they are anymore, and they do like ghost hunting and stuff. I can't remember what their names are. And one of them like refuses to believe in ghosts and everything, and he goes to these like places and they like ghost hunt and stuff, and it's really like interesting. But like, do you know what fucks me up? It's when they've got that little machine that like records the voices and they play it back later, and it's like this really
Oh my
weird,
god,
I
that fucks
can't
me
deal
up.
with it. But one of them called him a nerd. Like a geek or something. I thought it was really funny. Because like we always talk about ghosts like they're like these really old like
Yeah.
entities. But like someone could die today and be a ghost, and like they would have all our slang and stuff. They, you know.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
like, don't be suspicious. Don't be
suspicious.
Or they'd be like, how would they know?
Yeah.
How would they know? Like, it's really interesting to me. Like, yeah, if you could catch someone who from this like time, like speaking through one of those weird machines.
Lexi also said the third time they went to that abandoned mental hospital, they couldn't get all the way through the way they went the first two times. So they went in through the back, explored the basement, looked in the first few rooms and discovered it was the hospital morgue, walked down the corridor when Lexi was lifted off the floor by about 6 inches by her neck. Lasted 2 minutes before they were dropped to the ground with red marks on their neck. We left quickly and never went back. I watched a video similar to that where there was these people that lived in a house, and it was like on YouTube. They lived in a house and the house had a room that was locked. And they were like, we're gonna go investigate this room. It was like their grandpa's office or something, but like for whatever reason somebody owned the house. They just were like, keep this locked, like don't ever go in there. So they decided to open it and go in there, and one of the kids goes in the room and they're all just like perusing around like teenagers looking around, and all of a sudden one of the people is like, kind of starts like freaking out. They lift up the back of his shirt because he was like, my back, and it was just like scratches covered, like red marks all, and I was like, that's literally so spooky.
Because what on earth could possibly cause that? That's insane.
And you're like watching
Wow.
them, so unless they like scratched the crap out of his back before they went in that room, which like they could have done, but it looked pretty legitimate, and like I was like, oh god, oh no thank you.
Have you guys ever like messed with the Ouija board? Have you ever summoned a spirit?
No.
Never
Nope.
touched
No.
it.
Fuck
Nope.
that.
No?
My
No.
best friend.
Come on.
Nope, I'm not
No.
doing it. But my best friend has.
There's
Yeah, I would
so
never.
many stories of people not closing it properly, and you think you're talking to somebody. You don't know who you're talking to. They can pretend to be whatever and whoever you think, and I'm not fucking with that. Like, no, I will never ever fuck with one of those in my
So, as a kid, we did a lot of like Bloody Marys. We did
Oh my
we
God.
did a lot of those. And I would always scare the shit out of my older cousin cuz like we'd set it up beforehand, right? It's like, all right, we're going to go in there, we're going to do Bloody Mary, and then we would have like a stick or something that we'd poke under. Someone else was outside the door and they'd poke a stick underneath the door and touch the person's foot that was closest to the door and just scare the fuck out of them. We were mean children.
My dad, one time when he was in high school, his sister, they were like home alone. His sister's a little older than him. I think he was 15, she was like 17. She had friends over and they did a Ouija board. And she said that they had a candle and that they all witnessed hands coming up the candle like this. So she took the candle and like chucked it out her window, and they lived like with a canal behind their house. So she like threw it out the window into the canal. Well, my dad's like riding his little bicycle back there like 2 days later, is like, hey, my sister's candle is out here. So he picks it up and goes and puts it back in her bedroom without telling her, and she lost her shit because she literally thought the candle just like came back into her room, which I thought was so funny, and he had no
Oh
idea.
my god.
That is so funny.
That is funny.
That would scare you,
Bless
though.
her.
That's insane. You guys ready for another round of bingo?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll read Fox's ghost story while we do the bingo.
And then I'll tell my funny story.
From Fox, I had a ghost experience once. There's this YouTube channel I watch that does top 5 paranormal moments videos, and one, they discussed a cathedral to near where I lived at the time. I went one night, not thinking much of it. I went about 40 to 45 minutes when I felt a breath on the back of my neck. I was in the cathedral on my own, so I booked it out of there. Oh my gosh, I would have fainted. I literally would have fainted.
Oh my
Yeah, same.
I totally would have.
That's
That's
awful.
terrifying. Yeah.
no. This is why I'm always glad I have my rosary with me, just in case, you know.
Just in case.
Just in case. It glows in the dark as well, it's great.
Has anybody ever had spiritual experiences with a pet that has passed?
I've
Because-
never had a pet that's passed.
My dog died in 2020, and for like maybe a month or so after he died, I think he visited me like 3 or 4 times. He used to constantly come up, and like if your hand was somewhere, he would like take his nose and like boop your hand to try to like get you to like pet him. And one time he did that. He came up like my hand was to the side, and I full on, like I wasn't looking, gasped because I was like, I just felt him like boot my hand, and the other dog's like way across the room, so it couldn't have been him. One time I had a spoon in my hand, and he came up and booped the spoon in my hand, like it moved, and then I felt him boop on my leg one time. Hasn't happened,
See,
so like it
now
hasn't
that
happened.
that
Hasn't
type
happened
of
for a while, but
experience, I wouldn't mind.
it
'Cause that's
was.
wholesome.
And then I also had a cat die when I was younger, and I saw the cat twice after it died. One time I just saw it walking on the couch. The footprints of like a kitty cat were like gently squishing into my couch, which was super scary. I was like, oh, I don't like this. There's a ghost cat. Terrifying.
The idea of a ghost cat sounds really cute, but in real life, I think I would probably shit myself, to be fair as well. I'd be like,
Same. I think I would too.
I did one time also go to an extremely haunted place in Virginia. There was like an old house where they had done a bunch of public hangings back in the day. And we like got to walk around, but I didn't feel anything at the house. It was unfortunate.
I want to do like a scare, like a, corn maze, like a haunted corn maze. I want to do one where the people can't touch you though, because if you touch me, I'm not responsible for what happens right after. That is an instant reaction. That is not a controlled function of my body. Like, don't touch me.
if someone touched me in one of those things, I just have a full-blown panic attack. Like, I'd just be on the floor, like, sobbing.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
I couldn't do it. I mean, it's bad enough scaring you, but like touching you as well. No, thank you. Please, just leave me alone. I'll respect your space. You respect my space.
Gibbs said their cat's sister passed away last August, and the first time I got sick after that, I felt her wake me up like she used to, so that I would drink water every few hours.
Oh. That's so sweet.
I do think that if pets visit you, it's usually not ever scary.
Yeah.
At least so far in my experience, when I have had an encounter with a dead pet, it hasn't been scary.
I've only had a couple people in my life pass, and part of me is afraid if I start looking for signs, I'm gonna find them.
Yeah,
And it's a little much.
that can for sure be a thing. When my grandma died, we missed her dying just by like 10 minutes, like getting over to her little place. The like people called us. They were like, it's time probably. And she had been sick for a while. And me and my dad went over there and literally sat in her room on her bed, and she's just laying in bed, and my dad and I just like moved her arm, and like we're sitting on the edge of her bed like looking at stuff. My sister comes in, she's like, what are you guys doing? This is so gross. I was like, it's fine, everything's fine. I don't know why it didn't bother us. There's nothing weird that happened either, but we were just chilling with her dead body for like an hour and a half. Because they just leave them in their beds for a while.
I love how instead of saying dead, you're like,
She literally, like, they had to have a thing to hold her mouth open. Like, I mean, closed. Like, they had a thing under her chin so she didn't
Oh
open her
my
mouth.
goodness.
Yeah, my sister was
were
like,
just
you guys are
chilling
so
with
fucked
her.
up. And we were like, we were just
I
hanging out.
mean, however you need to get closure, you get your closure. Because once that person's gone, they're gone. You got to get your closure however you can.
Also, when my grandpa died, my mom's dad, my mom said, does anybody want any ashes? So I said, I do. Sure. So I have a little bit of my grandpa in a necklace that I wear sometimes that I really hope nobody ever asks me about because I would just full on tell them, oh yeah, that's my grandpa in here.
See, I wonder if having those ashes means that, like, because you know how, like, we're saying how when people die they probably like haunt their, like, where they are, but like if you have the ashes with you, does that mean like you can just go on like little road trips with you?
So that's why I got it, because I was like, I'm young, I'm gonna do like a whole bunch of things in my life still, and I was like, it'd be kind of fun to like bring him along for certain things, like adventures, you know? So like in my heart, that it would be nice if by having a piece of you, you're able to, like, I don't know, somehow engage in that from beyond the veil.
When my granddad died, so he died while they were, so he was like bedbound because he was like, he had cancer that had just gone too far and he was just like slowly dying. Like they gave him a week to live and he lasted 2 months. Like he's a fucking stubborn old man. And they were just starting to like move him to remake his bed and he just went, and that was it. He died. Like in like so my uncle was there, my granny was there, my auntie was there because it takes quite a few people to help like move everything. Yeah, he died in I think my uncle's arms. He was holding him up. Yeah, really
That's
weird.
crazy.
Like, apparently the woman who came, like, because obviously you have to call to say he died, apparently she came and was like asking him if he liked living here and stuff, and my granny was like, do you want him to answer you? Like, he's dead. It was really weird. Like, I think if he had answered, like, my granny probably would have like shot herself.
Title
Yeah.
said their friend's house has had urns under the sink when she moved in, and she refuses to move them. I would have not moved into that house.
I wouldn't have. Nope.
When we were house hunting in college, Trey and I looked at this house that literally had a trap door in the ground that you could open, like a big wooden door, and it went down into a dirt basement. Like it was dirt, and I'm like, I said we can't live here. This is terrifying. There's no way. This is too scary.
Either.
Even if
Yeah.
we put like the dog crate on top of it and like a rug on top of it, like that's nightmare fuel. Like you hear a noise immediately, I'm like someone's in the cellar. Like that's what I would have thought. Like I would have never been able to sleep living
You
there.
know, I'm waiting, and Braylon's seen it. I have a dead body mound in my backyard, and water retention does not make sense why there is a 7-foot above ground grave basically just chilling in my backyard. So I know that there is going to be a day that comes where we have to get rid of the dead body mound, and I'm fully expecting there to be just an extravaganza of cops at my house for the dead
What's
body
more likely
in the dead body
is
mound.
somebody like buried their giant dog.
That
Because
is very
people
likely.
do
Yeah.
bury their pets, even though you're totally not supposed to bury your pets because it's like bad for the ground, whatever they say. It
my
could be that
house
somebody
is
had like a
full
Great
of
Dane.
bugs in my old house.
Why am I more uncomfortable with the idea of a dead dog than I am a dead body mound?
Oh, I would be much more. A dead pet, I'd be like, oh, hello, Rocky. Like, good to see you today. You know, if you like found out its name and you could, you know, say hello to it.
That's
Yeah, I much rather it
wild.
be a pet than a human.
Yeah, because then you know there wasn't like a murder at your house, you know, and you know there's no like angry, vengeful like spirit ready to like get you.
absolutely insane. We are coming up on 50 minutes. Are you guys ready to take a break, or do you want to continue on?
I'm good to break whenever.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, we're gonna take about a 10-minute break, stretch our legs, get some things together, refill, get a water, because all I have is caffeine and I'm shaking now. So that's super great. We will be right back. Hello, hello.
We are back.
Hello.
How was your break? I took a dab.
Good.
This is gonna be a problem, but it's fine. We're okay. We're good. Ooh, Frankenstein.
Another bingo. Frankenstein.
I don't know if you guys are getting close to a bingo, but better watch out. I'm coming for you.
Did you guys see the title said they grew up along the Underground Railroad?
Oh, I bet that is some fucked up haunting
There's
over
a
there.
lot. Yeah. There
A
has
lot
to
of
be a lot of
paranormal
stories.
activity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I feel like where we live is so boring. There's no like
Arizona?
history of the
What?
land. Like
Really?
my house was not anything but farms.
But okay, so I don't want to live on burial ground though, you know what I mean? But there are definitely places in Arizona, like think about like all of the Native Americans, right? And the
yeah,
population, like there is some sad fucking history in Arizona, I bet. There's got to be tons of haunted places, but like actual haunted places, like native land haunted places. I don't fuck with that. I don't fuck with that at all. I'll take American like horror history over Native American horror history any day. Any day, because that's some real shit.
Yeah, Sedona they say is like a spiritual portal.
Yeah,
Portal to another world.
the energy vortexes. I'm not allowed to go to any of those.
It does feel magical when you're there.
Yeah, it's all a bunch of hoopla, but way too real to delve into.
Yeah.
Just what if? What if?
Yeah, it's not worth like if it is real, it's not worth like not treating it with respect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Dina, you had a story you were gonna share.
Oh yeah, when we were like just chit chatting. Basically, in my old house, the one where it was buried, it was not buried. The house was not buried. It was fully standing. It was on the grounds of the hospital. In the bathroom, for me, was always where I felt I was being watched the most. I know it's creepy, but like there was a presence in that, I should say, which was really weird. Like there were times where I literally like I was trying to like have a shower or something, and I just felt this presence, and it just felt, it wasn't like someone was there and like you just felt like it was just, I felt like so much dread that my mum remembers me just being like, because I have been in that I had been in that house from like 9 till like 19. Like I had been there in there for like 10 years of my life, and sometimes it would just be too much and I'd be like, Mum, can you just stand in the room like and just be there, because somehow it would make the presence feel less. Like other times I would sing, like I sing in the shower anyway now, but before I never used to, and sometimes I would sing and I would feel like the presence would be less dread. Like I wouldn't feel so much dread of whatever presence was in there. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Well,
very odd.
In Phasmophobia, which I don't know if there's any truth to that game at all, but some of the ghosts only appear to you when you are by yourself. So maybe that is also possible for real ghosts, that when there's more than one person, they feel less comfy.
I
showing
definitely
themselves.
think that is like a real thing.
I think so too.
Yeah, and now I have my cat with me everywhere I go, so well, pretty much anyway. And then another thing that happened in that house, I watched Supernatural for the first time, like years ago now, like literally I think 2016, maybe, no, 2014. And the first time I watched it was at night, and I watched it in the kitchen. I never watch anything in the kitchen, so I don't know why I was watching it in the kitchen. And we had 3 power cuts when I was watching it. So I would just imagine you're watching the pilot season of Supernatural, all this ghost shit's happening, pitch black all of a sudden. Everything's pitch black. And you're like, what the fuck? And then I went to move and my cable was like plugged into my laptop and it was plugged behind me because I was on the breakfast like thing. I moved and obviously the cable touched my leg, fucking screamed. And it happened 2 more power cuts while I was watching this. I left it for 6 months. I was like, I'm not watching this again. 6 months later, I watched it during the day. It was fine, and I watched it like ever since, and it's all been fine. But yeah, fucking hell, the first time I watched it was awful. Because like
crazy.
obviously the lights flicker. I don't know in real life, but like in the show, it flickers when there's ghosts and stuff. And like, I think the lights were flickering when I was watching it, and then like in the show, and then like the power cut, and I was like, no.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
That was terrifying. That was like the worst.
Title says, "The house that burnt. I woke up crying one day and heard a little girl. I woke up one day and heard a little girl crying. Thought it was my baby sister. Checked on her and she was asleep. The crying was coming from the attic."
Oh no.
Yeah. I hope you didn't.
No. Yeah,
you
tell me
left
you did not go up to the attic.
That's so scary. In my house that we live in now, we have an attic, and which is like not common for houses here really. And there's just a hole in the ceiling in my roommate's room. We refuse to make it the room that any of us have to go into. There's just like, you just like lift up the piece of wood and move it out of the way, and there is a hole. And the first time we had somebody come and look at our house to do like work in there, they were like, "Do you know that there's like a bunch of stuff that people left up there and it like looks kind of old?" And we were like, nope, don't want to hear about it. I don't care. Just
get it out.
Take care. They didn't even take the stuff out. They left it. We re-insulated our attic, so now it's underneath a bunch of like powder insulation stuff. But I'm like, I could not. I don't know how my roommate sleeps in that room. Just like being able to see the hole in the ceiling that, you know, it's just like a piece of wood you have to move, and you can like crawl up there because something could so easily just crawl down, and yeah, it freaks me out. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Basically, your roommate, if he suddenly starts screaming or something, he's your defense so that you know to get the fuck out.
Yes, I will leave him. I'm sorry. Bye. You're on your own.
Fair enough.
And in my husband's family, they have this tradition where, and we got so lucky with this, they literally have like an Annabelle doll that has been passed down in the family for like, I don't even know how long. It is very old, it is very creepy, and the tradition is that whoever gets married gets the doll. So for a while, my husband's sister and her husband had the doll because they were the most recently married, and they just like put it in their crawl space because they were like, we don't want this in our house. This is terrifying. And thank goodness we were supposed to get the doll when we got married, and I was like, we're putting her in the attic. Like, I'm not having her in the house. Like, it's too scary. But they gave it to their grandpa for his 80th birthday, and I was like, thank God. Thank God we did not have to harbor the doll for like 10 years. Whew. Yeah, not messing around with that.
Fuck dolls.
Super creepy.
Fuck dolls. Okay.
I don't like dolls.
Top of the list for
Dolls are
shit that scares
so-
Steph. Dolls.
Have
No.
you seen the girl with the haunted dolls on TikTok?
No.
She like records them and they like move or like
Nope.
move their eyes, like
Nope.
and she's not touching it, like, and it's like she
Nope.
has like a wall of dolls, and she's like, "This is my most haunted one," and it like moves its little
Oh.
arm. Yeah.
My God.
I'm-
No. No.
I had 2 China dolls when I was a kid. I
Nope,
had
those are
little
terrifying.
boy and a little girl.
You know,
And they lived on top of my wardrobe when I was younger. And I was so scared because I don't know if you guys had it when you were younger, where they would tell those like stories about like this doll that would like kill you when you were asleep or whatever. And like I remember being like, can we give these dolls away? Please. And I think we gave them away to a charity shop. And they were probably fine, but I was just like, no, I'm good.
Dolls are literally so scary.
I was a Beanie Baby child, but I also had like a shit ton of Barbies because my mom collected them for whatever reason, which, like, you know, hindsight, Barbies aren't worth shit anymore, haha. Holy fuck, we had a lot of Barbies. Even the ones I would play with wouldn't stay in my bedroom. Ever. All of that shit got left in a box in the basement. There's no way you stay as far away from me as possible at night. That's fuck that. Beanie Babies for life. At least if a Beanie Baby comes to life, like, what is it gonna do? Stab you with its bean-filled accoutrements?
Maybe. We don't
Appendages.
for me. I have too many in my room right now. Just my Stitch weighted plushie, just like on my neck when I wake up. Like,
Suffocating you.
Disgusting.
oh my god.
Yeah, definitely at the top of my list for shit that I don't fuck with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Title's friend's mom had an entire doll room. Nope.
That is so weird.
Nope,
Why? What is the purpose? No.
No.
That's just like one misplaced spell, and you've killed everybody. Like, did you guys ever read Goosebumps growing up?
Yes.
Those ventriloquist dummies. Smiley? Those
I
things
didn't read that
scared the shit out of me.
That was in the film. The ghost.
I don't like puppets. I don't like dummies. I don't like dolls. I don't.
Do you
Okay.
remember, like, when you were a little kid and people would tell the story about the, like, girl who put her hand off the side of the bed and her, like, dog would lick her hand, but then, like, it turns out it wasn't her dog. It was, like, a creepy ghost thing. Something, yes. It was, like, a
Yeah.
scary story we used to
Yeah,
about,
tell in the
like,
dark.
something like that. To this day, I cannot have an extremity hanging off the bed.
Dude, okay.
When I'm sleeping.
Exactly underneath. I can't even have it out of the duvet cover. Even if it's not hanging out of the bed, I cannot. I have to have everything underneath my duvet cover. Does that stop me from being murdered? No. But in my mind, yes.
Yes.
Scary stories you can tell in the dark with such wonderfully, thank you baby, misplaced, just like unnecessary fear, just like
Yeah.
injected into our generation. I want to go back and
remember being,
reread those. Those were fucking
I
terrifying.
remember being like in 4th or 5th grade, and those were at our school.
Yeah,
library.
yeah.
We would go at lunch and sit in the library and like read the scary stories in the dark. And I'm like, why did we do this? Who let us do this? Who thought this was a good idea?
Those are core memories.
Who
Those are
approved this?
core memories. I'd like to go back and redo that.
I remember being in year 6 before we, like the last year of primary school before we got into secondary school, and my friendship group decided that playing like games, like pretend games was stupid, and like that because we were more grown up, we would tell scary stories. Like in our breaks and stuff, and I remember having so many nightmares. It was awful. And then when I moved to secondary school, no one tells ghost stories in their lunch break. We just gossip and walk around and stuff. Like, oh my god, like little me was like terrified. Like I had bunk beds at one point, and in one of the rooms, the doors, there were 2 doors like to get into my room from the living room, and they were like glass ones, but like frosted glass. I hated it because it would just look like things.
Shadows.
And then the other side of me was French doors, and I was like, I hate this. I don't want this to be my room anymore. I really don't want to be here anymore.
Kay said she used to live in a house in the middle of nowhere. Used to have constant nightmares about the house after she moved out. But living in the house, I was always spooked. It was a split level, so we used to hear footsteps up and down the stairs when no one was there.
Ooh,
I definitely do feel like spirits have a tendency to get like stuck to a house. Or like land or something. It's very scary.
Yeah, I think my childhood best friend, I think her house was haunted by her grandmother. And yeah. It's creepy.
That's the dumbest trivia question ever. Which of these Halloween films were not directed by Tim Burton? And it's The Nightmare Before Christmas, but it was produced and conceived by Tim Burton, but directed by Henry Selick. Fuck off.
That's
It also is literally called Tim Burton's,
The Nightmare Before, like, come on. Come on.
but
It's
not
interesting
directed.
because it's Tim Burton, but it isn't. It's Henry Selick.
Oh.
I remember like this girl at school who was obsessed with Coraline, always being like, "It's not Tom Burton, it's
Oh
Henry
my
Selick."
god.
Coraline
It's like
is
ingrained in my memory.
a very spooky movie.
I loved it actually. Like my friend was terrified of it, and it's the only kind of like, it's not even really horror, I guess, but like
It's spooky.
that
I've never
was,
seen it.
like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I
I've
thought
never
Oh, you gotta
watched
watch
it.
it. Oh my gosh.
it's freaky.
Definitely gotta watch it for sure.
Maybe do you guys want to watch Coraline after stream? I'll see if I can stream it. There's got to be a way.
It's really good and really scary.
I had the little 3D glass before I wore glasses, 3D glasses, and like when they do the button through, like it goes through the screen. Oh my god. I was like, oh.
That's terrifying. We used to hear wailing in the brush since it was a 4-acre property, but it always sounded human. I always chalk it up to animal noises since AZ is notorious for animals that sound like humans. Oh, that's so scary.
Yeah, I've heard like in is it the Appalachians or
The Appalachians?
Yeah, that apparently if you hear a noise that sounds human, no you don't. Like and stuff, you just get the fuck out of that.
People say too, which is bad, I don't know like what the goal for this is, but if you're like in the woods alone and you hear somebody asking for help, to not go help them.
Yeah, no, don't.
Blaze is like, that's common sense.
Like, you don't know.
But what if it is somebody that needs help? That's me and my thinking here.
Call for actual help. Don't go in alone.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
don't go in alone.
Please walk to a safe area.
Call the EMS. Call someone.
I also believe in skinwalkers simply because American Indians believe in skinwalkers, and I'm like, I believe what they believe. They know more than us.
That's some real shit right there.
They know more than us about the earth and spirits and all the things, and have been around for a very long time, and I fully believe in all of that because I'm like, not messing with that. Or when people talk about that they see like a deer and then it like stands up on its own 2 feet, and you're like, nope.
So
I'm out of here.
what is your opinion on doppelgangers versus just flat out evil twins?
I don't believe in evil twins.
I know for a fact there's someone out there that looks exactly like me.
Oh, well, that is for sure probably just like probability.
Yeah, right? So
There's
like
not that many different ways a human can look.
but see, no, I don't think there's more than one, right? It's just one other.
There should be like 7 doppelgangers of you like around the world.
Yeah.
What if I'm the evil one? What if I'm the asshole of the
What
group?
evil acts are you out there committing that we don't know about?
Maybe they just do much nicer shit than I do, you know what I mean? What if I'm the fucking D-gen of the fucking doppelganger crew? Like, that's the shit that keeps me up at night.
I would want to be the evil one out of all of them because then I know I'm safe. Because like if I'm the evil one, then none of the other ones are evil, and I'm like, hey, that's fine because I'm chill. I'm not gonna do anything to any of my doppelgangers. And if I'm the evil one, they're not gonna do fuck all to me.
I mean, that's true. So then do you just double down in your evilness as the doppelganger?
But
And
what
just
is evil?
lean
What if
into
the
it?
evil thing that you do is just like actually just doing things for yourself and like saying no to people and like keeping your own peace. What if that is?
What if?
That's not evil.
No, but what if
For the
that-
world that you live in, it's not evil. Doppelganger's world, it could be worse. That could be terrible. Like, think about the completely different lives that people live, and the cultural and societal like norms that are completely opposite of what Western culture is. Like
I think evil across the board is pretty much, evil. If you're talking evil, that's a pretty strong word. Like, that's like cruel and cunning and out there to just like cause harm, manipulate people. That's like little kids that rip the heads off of cats. That's like pure evil.
That's one perception of
You're
it.
gonna grow up to be
Absolutely.
a terrible human. Unless we're talking inner dimensions here, because we
think
don't know
we
what
are.
other dimensions are like.
That's
but on
true.
Earth, we pretty much know what evil is, and you can like
But
point
it's
it out
like-
when you
It's
see
all
it.
subjective. It's subjective.
Tiles, what they perceived as witches are
Oh,
just
yeah.
like healers and stuff. So
Healers.
like Steph could be evil because she has a cat, and that's a witch thing, you know? Like, it depends, like, what their perception is. Like, and myself, I have a cat too, you know? Like,
People used to be perceived evil when they had mental illnesses back in the day too.
you think of all the people that have been exorcised that probably were just having some kind of mental episode of some form.
That also could be true. I do feel like that is definitely the case with exorcisms.
I literally watched a TikTok of this girl who, you know, the ones where they're like, one thing about me.
Yeah.
And she grew up in a cult, and she had a panic attack, and her dad like pinned her down and like performed an exorcism on her because he thought that her panic attack was a demon, like trying to get out. And then like for ages she was like, what's wrong with me? Why does my dad hate me? And why does he feel? And it was just mental illness, you know, like she just, you know, like most of us out here just had mental illness. Like
I think it was the father that was suffering from the greater of mental illnesses, because what the fuck?
Wait, Lexi, are you a twin? Lexi said, I know there is someone out there that looks just like me. If one of us was evil, it would be my identical person. And then she said, actually, I know this person that looks exactly like me, and I strive to be sweet and good and helpful, but my identical is often mean to other people and enjoys herself when others are hurting. Oh, you're not a twin. You just have a scary, evil doppelganger.
So basically what you're saying, Lexi, is that if you do all the good that you can in the world, then the other identical doppel must be the evil one because you're doing all the good things. That's a really lovely way to think about it. Now I'm completely justified in being a piece of shit because they're doing all the good stuff, right? I can be a DJ now.
If she
only doing horrible things because you're doing good things, like they have to do the opposite. So like if you just did like nothing and were chill, they would also be not doing nothing and chill.
If she floats, she's a witch. If she drowns, oh well, she wasn't. The witches or the accusers?
The accusers, like,
Yeah.
because sometimes they would just like accuse people for no reason, like just you know, for lols.
Oh, so it is a real person. We call each other identicals because we're identical, but she's exactly 3.5 years older. I got you.
What? That's crazy.
You have an evil sister. That's scary. Have you ever, like, some people are literally just evil, which is so terrifying to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's mental illness?
I don't know what I think it is, but I think it's more than just having, you know, anxiety or depression or something.
Yeah,
But,
there's
like, a
definitely
mental
more
illness
to
would
it.
be, like a psychopath or sociopath, like.
Yeah,
and I
that's
would
true.
Like, it truly terrifies me that at any point when you're out in public, you could drive past or walk past someone who is like has
A murderer?
like tendencies or evil. Oh my god, did you see that glitch of my camera? That fucking freaked me.
Do you know
Oh
what
my
I
God.
think about? Not your sister. A few years ago, where I was not a nice person, we got up some trouble together. Ah, just an identical that you're close in age and look similar. I gotcha. I always have this really fucked up thought, and it is, my neighborhood has 950 houses. That's a lot of houses. Somebody has somebody locked in a basement.
Yup.
The probability of somebody having somebody like locked in a shed or basement or like something weird, I feel like it's very high. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I'm always just like, there's anytime you find out like on the news where they're like, oh, this person like was keeping people in a shed. They're
Oh, I had no idea. They were so normal. They helped me bring my groceries in all the time. They watch my dog on the weekends.
I think about that all the time. I'm like, who in my neighborhood is a freaking crazy weirdo?
I would like to know the
Evil
statistics on that. But like honestly, the reason I ask if you think it's mental illness or not is like I feel like if we offered the same support to every member of society, right? And like identified what additional support they need and provided that, I don't feel like we'd have mass murderers. I don't feel like we'd
I think
have
we would.
pedophiles and rapists and
I think that some people
think it's
are just pure
Yeah.
evil. And
I
you
agree.
talk about these people who have children, and if you ever look up like evil children, there are people who will say like, I knew my child was evil from like when they were 2. Like wanting to cause harm, wanting to kill things, wanting to hurt things from a baby.
So I know that there's going to be anomalies and there's going to be things that stick out, but if you think about the generational trauma that all of us and everyone has experienced and is going to experience, and then kind of like just like track it back up the ladder of mental illness, and then it boils down to like they were abused as kids, and then they abused their kids, and then their kids turned into psychopaths and like killed everybody or like shot up a
What
school
about
or
the
something.
kids that like come from a perfectly lovely family, and they're just like.
Is
like
it
those
though?
kids, like,
Is
have
it
you
a
ever seen the
perfectly
kids-
lovely family? Or is there
Have you
always
seen
some
the kids
fucked
that,
up
like,
high expectation
murder
potential
people?
going on?
Have you ever seen read about like children that murder other children? Like this
Not
is the
a
thing.
lot
There
of
are like
them.
10-year-olds who murder other 10-year-olds. Their parents, like they come from normal families, and their parents are like, we don't know why our child is evil. Like they literally talk about like our child is an evil child. Like I don't think that's something you can prevent or make go away. I don't think any amount of therapy, you know?
From a psychological point of view, if I can interject,
Yeah, please.
just because I learned about quite a lot of stuff last year about your brain and like just how much. So there was this guy who had a steel rod go through his head and it hit a certain part of his brain. He lived and everything, but he was a completely different person. And I wonder if those types of people who like grow up and there's no trauma at all, which honestly it doesn't have to be internal family trauma, it can be trauma from anything, bullying, what have you, but from a psychological point of view, if there is a problem with your brain or like any part of like anything in your brain that like maybe is smaller than it should be, there was some kind of like trauma, like physical trauma to it of some form or whatever, that can cause quite a big, like, we still don't know that much about brains, and we know quite a lot at this point, more than we did like say 50 years ago, and we're still scratching the surface, I would say.
I mean, 50 years ago, people were giving each other lobotomies.
Yeah.
Well, there's these brains that like are dead brains, but they were kept perfectly like in I don't know, like pickle juice, but not pickle juice, like
Yeah.
Yeah, the embalming fluid, yeah.
they were kept for like to be looked at when we had that kind of technology, which we do have now, where we can now scan dead brains, like brains that are no longer alive and functioning, which we never had. We didn't have that capability then, and now we do. It's very interesting. So yeah, these children could have had some kind of impact on their brains to cause that. I would say definitely mental illness can be, but I'm always worried when people are like, this could be a mental illness, that we're just villainizing mental health.
Yeah, definitely not my intention. Yeah, not my intention to villainize.
Personally, this is my thought on it. I think that some brains are just wired differently. Whatever the reason is, some brains are just wired different. Like, there are going to be people who just, like, do not care about others, do not care if they're hurting people, lying to people, anything like that. And, I mean, it could be mental illness, it could be literally just their brain is different. But the fact of that, to me, is they're still, evil, I guess, in that regard.
We're basically jellyfish. The jellyfish is in here, and then it's just tentacles. That's it. It's basically it. So I know that we chatted about doing tarot here in a few minutes. I kind of want a reading. Does anyone know, does tarot and like astrological, do those tie together? Is that astrology
I
and
don't
tarot
know.
readings?
They are on similar planes.
It's just spirituality.
Yeah.
I don't think tarot actually has anything to do with astrology.
Because then I wonder with like the energy vortexes and like crystal
That's all
magic
spirituality.
and
I would say
interesting.
falls under the realm.
I feel like I'm slowly falling into tarot,
I got bingo.
Go to bingo.
Exclamation bingo, please.
Exclamation bingo.
There.
I love it. Title says we always watch out for the assholes, avoiding them to try and avoid bad situations. However, it's the people who are a little too nice to you really have to watch out for. They're the ones who will drug you with a drink or a sandwich and you wake up in their basement. It wasn't, what's the murder guy? Ted Bundy was like so handsome and charming that women just like let them into their house.
Yeah, or like he
Yeah.
would ask for help, like, oh, can you help me get this into my car? He had like, I think he would like had a stick or something, or it might be a different serial killer, I don't know. And like they would actively help him, like put something into his car, and then he just like push them in, like, and kill them.
That's
Probably not at the same
crazy.
time, but like later on, like, and it's just like crazy. That's why I'm always like, and it's always women, like, I feel like they have to be helpful and stuff. They don't want to be perceived as mean. And I saw someone say like the other day, like, be rude, like, because they always say like women are so worried about not being rude, and it's like,
Be a bitch.
not like, don't say like fuck off or whatever, but like say no, you know, say like, sorry, no, I'm busy, like I need to, you know.
I mean, depending on how many times you've already said no. You could get like maybe 2, and then it's like, you don't leave me the fuck alone.
I did hear that there might be a serial killer in Seattle.
Yeah, I heard it.
Oh, same with Mira Hindley. She got away with murder because at the time the children trusted her because she appeared to be a loving and caring woman. That's crazy. I watched a show about a woman that lived in San Francisco and ran like a halfway house, kind of. Like a house for people who were maybe getting off the streets or like getting out of jail. And she murdered a shit ton of people and just had them in her backyard that were at her halfway house. I don't remember if this is real or fake, but...
Okay, so hearing like murder stories of different ways that people have gotten away with murder for so long. Like there was one recently, I want to say it was in Arizona, but it might have been over on the East Coast. It was in a very wealthy area, very wealthy home, and I think they were doing construction or something, but they found an entire car with somebody in it buried on the property, and it was from
That's
the
crazy.
90s.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
I recently saw another guy. There was this guy in Philadelphia. I saw this on Twitter. This guy in Philadelphia who got arrested for like murdering a bunch of people and like doing gross things to them, and they found out. And this guy on Twitter was like, "Bro, that's my neighbor, and we have had like cookouts together. I've had this man at my house." Like he was like, "We were friends, and then I see on the news that my neighbor is getting arrested because he murdered like 7 people."
Have you seen that guy who like was on the news and he's like, oh, I don't know where this girl is, like she's my friend, blah blah blah, and like he's acting really worried about her and stuff, and it turns out he's the killer, like he actually killed her, and it's like crazy.
I mean, these people get away with it because they seem to be like normal people. They wouldn't get away with it if they like obviously stood out as being off.
What is normal? Okay, it sounds to me that normal is fucking psychopath. Maybe we go with the weirdos. Maybe if you stick out in a crowd,
In
you're
that
safe.
case, normal just meant not killing people. Not a
Yes.
They didn't kill people before they killed people. What happened?
murderer. Maybe though, what does a murderer look like? If we put them all on a photo wall and we had the faces of, 20,000 murderers, you would see every single kind of human. It would be a sample size of the population.
There has to be a study on that.
Dana,
Dana.
you're muted. Oh, there you
they
go.
used to judge people on how, like, the shape of their head and stuff. Like, if it was big in one place, they would say you had, like, a bigger part of that brain, like, that place in your brain, and they would, like, judge you, like on that. Like, they would be, they thought that, I would say that, personally, I don't believe that it was any good, and I think it's been disproven now, but that's something that
Kind of eugenic-y.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, literally that, yeah.
Yeah, we don't like that.
Remind me what eugenics is
No, we
again?
don't.
It's like basically using health as a way to say like an entire population of people or entire race of people are like bad.
And idiots do this now?
People do try to say this sometimes.
Is it based? I'm not getting into it. I'm not getting into it. Like that's the
For
dumbest
instance,
shit.
the woman that created the Myers-Briggs, that whole thing is basically about how to prove if you're white that you're better than other people based on your Myers-Briggs stuff. She was crazy.
Which is like the 16. It's called like the one
16
that
personalities.
Personalities, which I feel I like, but the whole like history of it I hate. Like
Yeah. It was not super great.
And
Also,
there's
like,
so many studies where they just picked like rich white middle class, like
yeah.
rich white people to do the studies, and it's just like, okay, but like why don't we have a study where it's like actually like a wide range of things, like people and like ethnicities and stuff, so we can get like a broad like range and maybe actually get proper results. It's like the whole ADHD and autism thing where they're like, oh, girls don't really get like diagnosed because the whole diagnostics is based on
boys.
young boys and how they are, how they like show autism, which is completely different from women because we mask more, and we don't like show it. We show it differently, and that's why a lot of people when they get older then end up going for the diagnosis. Like I'm currently on my own journey, because before people be like, oh, she just talks loads, and oh yeah, she's just shy, like oh that's just the way she is. Like
You're in good company, Gibbs. I left reading my report cards from preschool. 3 to 4 years old, where they're like, Braylon's not very good at paying attention, but she's really good at making friends.
I wonder what they would have said about
sitting
me.
through class, but she loves recess.
I remember like going through those grades, and I was always it was very strange, and I don't mean to get too off topic, but it's like I remember like always trying to do exactly what was asked of me until I hit about 4th grade. And then I came into school the next day and they're like, all right, pull out your homework. And I'm like, what homework? There was homework yesterday? It's the 2nd day of school. And then it's like everyone pulled out their homework and I was like, I literally do not remember you telling me that there was homework. And that was like school thereafter. I just missed I don't know what it was. I mean, it was the ADD, but.
Do you know what going on, like, to like tie it back into ghost stories a little bit? Do you feel like people that are neurodivergent, like the veil is thinner?
I feel like we're more receptive.
Like maybe more observant or like more sensitive to like spirit things.
I feel like we're more willing to accept that is not the status quo.
Yeah, we're like, what do they call those? Innovators?
Yeah.
We're gonna shake things up. We're never just gonna sit there and be like, yeah, this is fine the way that everything is going.
Yeah.
So my report card started off being like, Dana used to talk more, she's very shy, she never puts her hand up in class, blah, 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 blah. So then, like, and I would actively, because I always remember being told, like, if you ask a question, maybe someone else also had that question that they wanted to ask, but they were always too scared to, like, ask it. So then I would, like, put my hand up and ask the question, because I'd be like, oh, maybe someone else, like, thinks this. And then my report cards were like, Dana talks too much, Dana's, great, but she would, benefit from, like, listening more and not talking to her friends so much, blah, blah, blah.
I wonder what school's like these days. Do you think there's more like gentle teaching as well in schools, or do you think class sizes are too overwhelmed?
I think that now that millennials are teachers, like millennials are the bulk of who is teaching Gen Z, I feel like we are like more like millennials are closer to Gen Z than I think like we are to Gen Xers. Like we don't relate as much to them.
100%.
So I feel like millennials are kind of a little bit gentler probably than our teachers were and like more understanding, but also everybody is suffering with mental illness, underpaid, overworked. So, and with like school shootings, I imagine school is not the greatest place. But I did hear that now classes have like fidget toys and like stuff where like, so I don't know, but
That's
school
insane.
School was always, Max is in school, says for me school is chill. That's good. Because school for me was like prison. I hated school. It was basically like, let me take Adderall so I can sit here for 8 hours. It was terrible. I hated it.
Oh, see, I never thought about that, taking Adderall in school. I wonder how
Just,
different
like,
it would be.
For me, it just gave me the ability to sit down and shut up. That was like all it did.
I think because I didn't actually have a social life outside of school, like literally at all. It was home and
exciting.
school. Well, it was just two very different worlds, and it kind of depended on where I was in a video game or where I was in an art piece or a book for me to like get back home so I can continue that. But then school always left that anxiety because it's like I forget about my homework like all the time. My ADD went very untreated, and it was very much just like, you need to try harder in school and get your fucking shit together. And it's like, I literally don't know what to fucking tell you. I'm doing my best.
I'm already doing my best.
So I was like,
one of my best, here it is.
That's fun.
Have any of you guys seen the Amityville horror movie?
I believe I have, and it is lovely. I think that's what American Horror Story, the first one, was based off of. Was a lot of Amityville Horrorville aspects.
That's a good season.
It's, oh my god, American Horror Story is like amazing.
I like it a lot. Not all the seasons are great, but
I'm a simp. I'm a simp for all of them. Like, I think they were so fantastically, wonderfully
have you watched
done.
this recent one?
I am behind, admittedly. Every time I keep trying to start it, I get distracted. Like, TV's definitely background noise for me, which is a little bit frustrating.
If you actually want to pay attention.
Yeah, it's really hard. But, like, House of the Dragon is the only show, and Game of Thrones at that was really the only show that I really sat down and watched. Every other show I've ever watched has been, like, in the background.
Do you guys watch a lot of haunted or, like, scary or paranormal? Like, have you guys seen Paranormal Activity?
I love scary movies.
Which is different. Everyone is always like, oh, Paranormal Activity, but no, Paranormal Entity. It's different because like it follows you around to like they leave that house and they follow you around. And
So when I was in
nightmares
when I
sleep by myself.
When I was in 7th grade, The Grudge came out, and we all used to go to the movies, and so we went and saw The Grudge, and I still to this day sometimes get freaked out that the hand is gonna pop out of the back of my head when I'm in a shower, and that like if I like pull too much hair out, I'm like, oh no, The Grudge is here, like scares the hell out of me in the shower even still. And then I forgot what else I was gonna say. It was about another movie.
I tried to watch X-Files because like that's where my name came from.
Love the X-Files.
Dana, and I was
So
like,
good.
maybe I should watch it because, you know, like literally my mom's a nerd. She named me after her favorite TV show. Like, maybe I should watch it. And I watched, I think it was like the 3rd or 4th episode where there's this like guy who goes through the grates or something and like his hand comes up from under the bed. And then I was like, I'm good. I haven't watched any more. I need to watch it again, like not at night.
It's so good.
I have the X-Files on in the background a lot. I love to fall asleep to it. Like that's creature comfort. Or Tales from the Crypt. You guys remember that show from back in the day? Because it was X-Files and Tales from the Crypt, and they would play back to back on whatever channel it was in Colorado in like the 90s. So I'd always fall asleep to those two shows. I love scary shit. I love true crime. I love ghost stories.
Have you seen The Blair Witch Project?
Fuck yeah. And it was dumb when I saw it the first time, and it's dumb now.
I loved it because, so when they made that movie, like everybody knows it's fake now, obviously. When they made that movie, they touted the whole thing as being true. The whole thing.
The marketing on it was great.
So like, we didn't know when we went to see that movie that it was fake and that it was staged and that it was like a movie. They made it seem like it was a documentary. That one will terrify you. But I recently watched this movie called The Ritual, where like 4 dudes go on a hike together in like Scotland or something, and they find this creepy house in the middle of the woods with like all this witch stuff, and like they have to stay in the house overnight and terrible things happen to them. And that one is really good as well if you're looking for something super spooky.
What was my very first scary movie was 13 Ghosts.
I think that the movie Max is talking about is The Blair Witch Project.
I thought it was the one where there was like dead bodies and stuff.
I don't know. I just know The Blair Witch Project caused a lot of like media hysteria because people thought it was real.
That was they had a really good marketing around that movie. And then it's like every other scary movie that came out for like the next 5 years tried to copy it, and they all flopped. No bueno at all.
Yeah, it was a movie where it was so realistic, the actors dying, that they genuinely thought like they had been killed on.
So There are scary movies though where they've tried to like redo them and they've gone to like haunted places. There have been like scary movies about doing scary movies at haunted places, and like people of the cast dying because like the set is haunted and like the spirits don't want them recreating like their trauma. I love shit like that. Final Destination. That's one that fucked me up for life.
That movie, I watched one of those as a child, and I swear it is the reason I have anxiety. It is the reason why when I see a truck driving down the highway that's got a bunch of poles or cement things or trees, I'm like, that's gonna fall off.
Yeah, kids these days don't know.
Behind something that has like a pole sticking out of it, I'm like, that's coming straight through my head. Like that, like, I can't.
Yes.
Elevators, you're like, oh no, I'm gonna get cut in half.
There's so many vans that are held, like the back of their vans are held closed with like bungee cord or something, that I'm like, something will fall
Getting
out
away
of
from
that.
that.
Just close your doors, maybe.
Leatherface. Yeah. So I know there's different genres of horror. I don't know what they're all called, but definitely the plausible ones. Those are the ones that scare me. Like what is the movies where you're out in like this beautiful like kind of wilderness area in like a cabin and it's like, oh, the hills have eyes? Totally plausible to me. Fuck that. Fuck that. Wilderness, not my thing.
Yeah, that's like Blaze. I'm surprised you don't have any stories of anything scary, because people literally, like, I feel like the Appalachians in the United States is probably one of the most haunted places.
Really?
Like, aren't there
Where I was, it wasn't bad at all.
Supposedly, aren't there like cannibals that live out there?
I think
Like
supposedly.
wild humans? Because
And
it's
it's
a
like-
massive mountain
I mean,
range, right?
okay, like it goes from technically, I think it goes from like
It's huge.
Georgia to like New York. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like that's a huge range.
But people say there's like wild humans that live out there.
Yeah, they
The
say
only
that's
thing
not-
Yeah, the only thing I ever saw was a bear. Honestly, so
a
That's
bear, like
that kind
Yeah.
of stuff scares me.
a bear. No. And it was
Yeah.
at my apartment at night.
only horror I don't mind is like Stranger Things and like what's that? Supernatural, Buffy, I guess is like a little bit horror.
Like vampires and stuff. Stuff that's
Yeah,
not
like-
believable.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. 'cause
Like
it's,
the
scary,
supernatural,
but, like,
yeah.
it's not- And like Supernatural I really like because at the end like of the episode, or like if it's a season arc thing, they normally kill the thing, so like when I'm like, okay, cool, it's gone now. Like, so that's kind of nice. Yeah, the scariest Supernatural episodes actually are the ones where it is humans. Like humans are the like they're cannibals.
Because
or
that's
they,
real.
like,
It could
yeah,
be.
those are the scariest ones. I'm like, I can't. Like, no.
We don't talk about the cannibals title said. However, I have seen a bat out there with a wingspan larger than my mom's Chevy Malibu.
Yeah, some bats
So-
have huge wingspans. Like in some of the zoos I've been to, they like have this thing where you can put your arms out and you can see which bat you have like the same kind of wingspan as. It's really interesting.
It's a bat in like the Philippines, right? Or was it Perspective? Because there is a giant. It's a really fucking ugly bat too. That thing is like gargantuan, and it looks a little bit
Oh.
human-esque.
People who live in other people's houses without the owner knowing, like squatters, that would terrify me.
That's
live
that's
underground or
really
in
scary.
attics.
So I don't know if it was a real story, but there was a story. It might have been something that I saw on like Reddit, No Sleep. But it's like she lived alone, and she's lived in this apartment for like 5, 6, 7 years, and she was meticulous about keeping everything exactly where it needed to be. And then all of a sudden she came home from like a longer weekend from work, and she noticed just something a little bit out of place. So she called her friend who was house sitting, and she's like, hey, did you move anything? And she's like, oh, I might have. So she just kind of brushed it off, whatever, like maybe her friend moved it. She got a little bit paranoid though, so she installed security cameras. And a few months later, she had to go out of town again for work, and her phone went off, like her security camera detected movement. And there was a fucking man in her kitchen making a sandwich, and she watched him like climb back up into her ceiling. So when she got home, she had her landlord check everything out, and he couldn't find a way that he got in. There was no trap door on the ceiling. There was like nothing there. And this went on for a couple of months. She couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on. She called the police. They came in. They brushed for prints. Like, she couldn't stay at her apartment anymore because she was so freaked out. A few months later, she moved out of the apartment. The landlord came back, let another tenant in. That tenant died. They got murdered in the middle of the night by the dude living upstairs because I guess he jumped down, didn't realize someone was in the house. She woke up and then got fucking like murdered. Like, it just like goosebumps.
No.
So ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Fuck renting. Check your attics.
Thank God for Ring cameras.
Right.
See, I always think like I wouldn't want a camera, like, because if you see like Paranormal Activity, the only reason they like realize all that stuff is because they put cameras out and stuff, and then like it gets worse. And I'm always like, I'd rather not know what's going on while I'm sleeping than like, you know.
Ignorance is bliss, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I would want to know though. That's something I'd want to know. That's not an ignorance is bliss thing. That's. I worry just like with my windows.
Yeah, I would
Like,
do that. Like,
Dude, we left our garage open last night on accident. Like, whatever. I went out, took the dog to work, came back, forgot to close the garage because had my hands full with him. And one of our neighbors comes and knocks on our door, and it's like 11:30 at night. Who the fuck, especially like a woman, is knocking on your door at 11:30 at night? And I'm like, told my husband, I was like, open the door. He's like, no, I don't want to open the door. I'm like, come on, what is she gonna do to you? Like, so he checked the camera, and it's like my window, this one, it's usually open. And I was like, what if they start walking around the house and start peeking in windows? So I'm like shutting all the windows, and I'm like, what do we do? Like, we're like whispering to each other because you can hear it through the windows. That's so she knows we're home. So finally I did. He's like, oh, it's because you left the garage open. So he opened the door to close the garage, and I opened the door, and she's like, oh, I'm your neighbor. And I was like, you sweet bean, you came over here in the middle of the night, you scared the fuck out of us. Thank you. I'm glad I have neighbors looking out for me. Fuck.
Can be like a murderer, so like.
Well, sometimes women will like try to ask you for help to like do something.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't trust anybody. If why are you coming to me is the question, like what I always pose to people, because like my boss and I had this conversation. He's got like younger girls, and we were having the conversation about like I don't have anything that identifies my car as my car. There's nothing unique about it. There's no special license plate. There's nothing stickers in the windows.
To work like is crazy.
I do. I take a different route to work. And like, cause we were talking about it, and I was like, so what would you do if a woman approached you in a parking lot and asked for help? He's like, I would try to help her. And I'm like, what are you gonna do? What are you, physically you, gonna be able to do to help her? Like, no, dude, you lock your doors, you call the police, or call someone who's gonna be able to do something, because what realistically are you gonna be able to do? Are you gonna go
like,
fight crime?
Use your cell phone. Like I used to let people do that.
Who doesn't have a cell phone? And if you don't have a cell phone, go to a public place in a public area and use their
That's
phone.
how my friend got his phone.
Yeah, there's no fucking way. I'm sorry. You're at a grocery store. Go in and use customer service's phone. Why are you approaching 5'3" of me by myself in a parking lot?
I used to live
Every
next
time,
to
like,
an unhoused park. Like a park where there was a lot of unhoused people. I used to live like right next, like a block away. So we always got unhoused people just like walking around. They would knock on our door all the time. I always answered. They were always just looking for like blankets, socks. Do you have extra hats? Like, do you have anything that like, do you have a pair of shoes? Like stuff like that. So I feel like maybe that just like, I had so many experiences where there were strange people knocking on my door, and I had like a privacy thing like you do, so then I'm not scared at all, because you're not going to get through the metal door. So then I would just open the other door and be like, hey, what's up, what do you need? Like,
No. See, I'm a little too
Here you go.
paranoid, because then you know what I look like. You get a glimpse in my house to see if there's any valuables within like view of the door. I was in foster care. Like, I've been homeless, and I've lived on the streets, and I've lived in not so great neighborhoods and know not so great people, and I worked at a bank. They teach you a lot of those things, like taking a different route to work.
yeah.
That's from my banking days. They, yeah, they teach you all of that.
On the opposite side of that, and I mean this with no disrespect whatsoever, Braylon, I do feel like you were that person in the horror films that people are saying, don't do that. don't open that.
Okay.
Don't.
But here's the thing about that. You are assuming that those people know that they're in a horror film, and they don't. So for them, it's just a regular Tuesday, and they heard a noise in their backyard. We know they're in a scary movie, so we're like, "What are you doing?" They don't know that they're in the genre that they are. So,
You know, if there's anything I could change about life, can we get some fucking accompaniment music? Like, can I get a soundtrack for if something's like
I already
about to
have that in my
happen?
brain.
That'd be super lovely, right?
Like, I don't want to be like at my computer and then all of a sudden like like something's coming and I'm
I
like,
do. I want to be well aware. I want to be well aware. Boss music plays. Impending
Boss
doom
music,
music
can you
plays.
You're like sitting at your desk working, and all of a sudden you hear boss music. You're like, "Oh no, oh no."
But it's like as if like it could go off when you're walking past someone who's like a serial killer and they like you just walk off and you go your separate ways, but like you're just trying to keep your cool because now you can hear the music like that's telling you you're in immediate danger, like because you're right next to the danger thing, and then like you move away and you're like
I never answer the door if I'm home alone. That is for sure a big no-no. I would never. And if I'm not home alone, I answer the door and I let Otto just put his face out the crack of the door, you know? Because he always is right there. So I'm like, if you fuck with me, you're getting Otto. And
Big
he's
dog
big and scary.
privilege. I love
Yeah.
that. Now,
And when we go on walks, it's me. I walk fast. I'm in the front. And behind me, I have husband, roommate, big dog. I'm like, I'll go anywhere.
one's fucking with you.
Nobody's going to mess with me.
my only saving grace with Izzo is that he will bark at people. So like I bring him with me when I go and like grab coffee or whatever, you know, just to go and get out of the house for a little bit. I always bring the little guy with me. And over by the Starbucks, there's, you know, people that'll approach your car and ask if you want like your windows washed, or they'll ask for like change or something. Izzo, like when we get up to the window to get like coffee or like a barista, like he's very friendly with people. Like you've met my dog, he's very, very friendly. Someone approaches like the car and it's like some strange dude, and it, like Izzo, he gets like, ooh, he gets a little growl, and then it's like you can tell he's not fucking happy. He is not happy. He's like, you back the fuck up off my car, bro.
See, the funny thing is that Otto is so nice. He would not do anything to anybody. He just has scary dog privileges himself.
Oh, I love that for you.
See, I think as well though, like your dogs do pick up on your energy. So like, if you're chill all the time, or you're not scared, Braylon, like Otto's probably like normal and stuff. But if you were like terrified or like scared,
This is what
like,
Trey
I feel
says.
like-
Yeah.
Trey always says if like you were home alone with Otto and somebody broke into the house, like he's like, Otto's gonna fuck them up. Like he's like, especially if you're freaking out, like he was like, no way is he not gonna like at least scare the shit out of the person that is broken into your house.
Yeah. I'm high strung. My animals are high strung. I definitely, yeah. Rona says that all the time. He's like, if you would just fucking chill out, like they would also chill out. And I'm like, that's not me, bruh.
I saw a post I loved on Reddit where this guy came home and somebody did break into his apartment while he was gone, and he had a German Shepherd, and there was blood all over the hallway, and the dog is just sitting there like, hello, welcome back. Look what I did. I got the intruder to leave the house. Like, he was home alone, the dog, and the guy came back and it was just like a crime scene in his hallway because the dog had attacked him. Which, like, if you knock on a door to, like, see if anyone's home to burgle it, and you hear, like, woo, 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 why are you gonna open that door, bro? Find a different door.
Exactly.
Like, that's what I always, like, having a dog, like a scary dog that, like, has a big bark, like, it's just gonna mean they're gonna go to your neighbor's house instead of your house.
Yeah.
Until they find one without a big bark.
My
Also, like-
parents' dogs bark. Oh my god.
Scary?
His bark is so deep, so scary that even me, the first time I heard it, I was
You're
like,
like,
wow, this dog would fuck some shit up.
Did
Let's
they
go.
wait to get him fixed for a while? Because our old dog, he didn't get fixed until he was 4, and so his bark was deep. Like, it was terrifying when
His
he would
is
bark.
very deep.
Whereas
I forget
Otto's is
how
like-
old he was.
Otto's isn't that scary to me. We always say he has a bitch bark.
Beefy barks. Beefy barks.
Beefy barks.
New phrase of the day.
I love
Beefy
that.
barks.
But would not
Beefy
do
barks.
shit. See, but Kay, you don't know because they might. They might protect you if you were like screaming your lungs off. They might do
Yeah, I
something.
think-
Yeah.
I mean, I can make my dog bite my husband's pants. I'm pretty sure Izzo would at least attempt to fuck something up, but like just one well-placed kick and like the dog is done. I want a bigger dog.
Izzo's a little small guy. He's a little small bean.
He'd be a good distraction. I hope someone would pay attention.
Ankles, you know?
He does. Yeah, if you even if you walk just a little bit too fast, he's there.
That's what I feel like about Otto. Somebody walked in and they were just like, "Oh, hey, puppy," you know, that he would be like, "Oh, hi, you're here, a new friend." Like, that's how I feel like Otto would be. But there has been people that have come over to our house before, like 2 or 3 people that for whatever reason he hates, and he just growls at them and like barks in their face and doesn't leave them alone, even though like we're all chill with the people. I'm always like, what have you done? What have you done?
Yeah, it's their
My dog
energy.
can tell
Something
that you've
about
done
them.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
something weird.
Also, like further to the dog thing, like having a dog in your house is a deterrent. There are people that like will just try and open your door, and if it's open, they just see that as an invitation to like come into your house and like murder you. But,
Except
like,
where I live, where everybody leaves their doors unlocked, like all the time.
You're all gonna be murdered.
Absolutely not.
My parents' neighborhood, literally, if you walked around during the day and just like did that, you probably could slay with the amount of stuff that you could steal. Because like
That's okay.
everybody's garages and stuff and the houses are just unlocked.
There was literally a serial killer who only murdered people who had their doors unlocked because he saw it as an invitation to come in. I
That's
don't think I would
crazy.
ever have my door unlocked. Like,
Oh, I don't either. We don't either. I'm like panicked about the door being locked always. Even though I live with 2 large adult men.
I've realized I may have made myself a bit of a target when I lived at my old house because I used to open the door and then like they'd be like, "Oh, hey, like, are your parents home to like to?"
Oh,
like,
and you'd
sell
be,
something?"
"No."
And then I'd always be like, "Oh, sorry, my parents aren't home." And like I used to do this even when I was like even now I probably say, "Oh, sorry, my parents aren't home." Even if I lived by myself, I'd be like, "Oh, sorry, my parents aren't home," because like I look young. It's the easiest way to get people to leave. But then I've been thinking, so then they know what time your parents aren't there. and when to come. Now I'm like, I'll probably just wait and answer the door.
I look out the peephole, and it's usually pretty easy to tell, like telemarketers. Like if they have
Yeah,
a
you can tell.
polo
Yeah.
shirt on or something or whatever, it's marketer people and
No, I'm sorry. Even then, you know how easy it is to just go get that logo embroidered on a polo and carry around a
that's when I
clipboard?
don't answer the door. I don't answer those because I'm like, you're trying to sell me something.
Yeah,
That's when I'm
no.
looking through the peephole, or like we have a window above our door that you can see out on the stairs. So if I'm upstairs, I'll like creep downstairs and like look out the window, and then I'm like, oh, that's a business person, not answering the door.
We had a water telemarketer come, or yeah, they came to our door or whatever, and I was just like, they're trying to sell it, you know? And I was just like, sorry, I have to ask my boys to leave.
The other day we had a lady coming around who was like wanting to sign us up because my dang husband is registered as an independent, so we get a lot of people that are like, oh, maybe we can like swing you because you're not registered with either party. And I literally was like, do you think she would have gone away if we told them that our parents weren't here? Like, do we still look young enough to be like, sorry, my mom's gone? I don't think so. I think they would know we were full of shit.
Even now at this age.
You could be really weird and say like some fucked up shit. Be like, my husband doesn't allow me to talk to strangers.
It'd be super weird, yeah. It's like in Step Brothers when they're like trying to sell the house and they like do all that stuff to like make people not want to buy the house.
Love it. Love it.
So
So,
we started off talking about like ghosts and like things,
It's
and now
still
we're, like
spooky.
the real dangers of the world.
Murderers.
listen, you're getting fucking value out of this podcast whether you like it or not. Okay.
All the scary things right now. Everything.
It's like I love the stories like when they pick up hitchhikers and it's like, how do you know that I'm not a serial killer? Well, I mean, the odds of there being 2 of us, you know, are pretty slim.
The odds of there being 2 of us out this evening is pretty slim. Out crazy them, right? Is that what they say?
Yep.
Always out crazy them. That's the vibe right there.
I used to pick up people who were hitchhiking in my town whenever it was a woman. I did it like 3 times in college.
I
Would never. You would be the one.
okay. Now, I did this recently. She was elderly. She was dressed very nicely. She looked like she was going to church, and I was on my way to work, and she looked desperate. I rolled down my window. She's like, I just need to get up to this street. There's no bus. My feet are killing me. And I'm like, all right, fuck it, hop in.
Yeah.
Took her where she needed to go, dropped her off. She said, thank you, God bless you. I said, please be safe. And I went to work. And that was the last time I tried to think about that moment because I'm like, Stephanie, you are fucking stupid. I'm glad that that worked out. I used my best judgment. I used my woman gut and I survived it. I will probably never do that again though.
The women that I have picked up that were like hitchhiking like in town, you know, like I'm not like on a highway, like I'm in my town. Like in college, they always were going to work or something. And same thing, it would be like they miss the bus, they're late to work, they have no other transportation, and I would just drive them. And they were always really appreciative and really nice. I kind of just like have too much empathy where I'm like, what if that was me? I would want me to stop. Like I would want me to stop and not some creepy person, you know?
Yeah.
But also, like, the whole way that serial killers, like, when they're like, oh, can you help me with something in my car and stuff? Like, they could just say, oh, I've missed the bus and I'm late for work, but they have no intention of going to work.
Yeah, but I'm in my car driving, so they would have to, like, try and fuck me up while I'm, like, on the road, and it's like
Yeah.
a Target Plaza. Like,
So what are you
nobody's
gonna
murder
kill?
me in a Target Plaza.
There's some fucked up shit that happened in Target plazas.
I mean, yeah, but also you're driving, so you're not being 100% aware of the person sitting right next to you because you're concentrating on.
I mean,
mean-
to be fair, if she wrecks.
So, okay, so,
Exactly.
and then there is an additional layer of protection because you can drive your car quickly to a more crowded area, honk your horn, open your windows, just leave your car. Like, you can get out of your car too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're in a crowded area.
In a car several times.
That's so scary.
And I feel like being a woman, people would help.
Driver.
Oh.
That's terrifying.
Did you
That
have
is
someone try and
terrifying.
like strangle her from like the back, or, like behind her, and she like put her foot on the brake, and he went through the windshield. She's had another one where like a drunk
Smart
guy,
granny.
Big brain.
yeah, like a drunk guy was in her car, and like he obviously like didn't know how to handle his like alcohol well, and he was like trying to get out of the car, and he was like went for her and stuff, and like she like punched him in the head a couple of times, and like was honking, flashing her lights, everything, and she was really lucky because she was like on a motorway that there was like people working on the motorway at the time, like so she went to one of their huts and waited for the police to come.
That's crazy.
Fucking unhinged.
Also, Nostalgic Simmer said that one of their like fears were like that someone like looking out the window, someone would be looking down looking at them, or like going up a ladder. I've had something similar happen to me where I was just like, I completely zoned out and I was staring out of my window downstairs, like in the living room. I was just literally like, and then like when I regained, like like when I focused back in, there was just a man staring straight into the window at me, who was obviously, it looked like I was staring at him, I guess. I was not focused on what I was looking at. And I just like hid behind the curtain. I literally just went and like hid behind the curtain.
Yeah,
and,
that
like,
would be what I would
stayed there
do.
for a while. And then when I looked again, he'd gone. But I was like, nah, that. So now when I'm downstairs and it's dark, because it was dark when it happened, I don't look out that window. I don't fucking look. I'm like, nah, I'm good, thanks.
That's crazy.
This stream has just really been like me realizing.
These
how
are always so fun though.
I'm obsessed.
You're like, hey, what about this thing? I'm like, oh, hold my beer. I've got stories for you.
So it is about that time. We are at our 2-hour mark. You guys ready to don't let me rush. I just like, I am the voice of podcast show.
Yeah. Allie's here too. Thank you, Allie, for
Ellie!
coming and hanging.
So, We are going to watch a movie in Discord right after this. Everybody is welcome. It is not a big deal if you want to pop in and go do some other things. The Discord channel is one that once you join, it does mute you, so there will not be any cross communications unless it is in chat. Link is there up above. I did find someone who is playing Stories Untold right now, so I figure we'll keep on with the theme of some spoopy stories. Unless you guys had an idea?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, fuck yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Here are the raid messages. I would say copy the first one if you're subscribed and the second one if you're not, but we're not affiliated, so that's that. Don't forget to copy that shit. And we'll go and pop over and hang out.
Thank you, everyone. This was so fun. It's always a
Thank
good
you.
time when we do these.
Thank you so much. We will see you guys over. It looks like we're going to be watching some Coraline. So we'll see you over in Mr. Tom FTW and have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.